So hello you wonderful citizen of the internet, and welcome to me finally getting round to doing a much requested contouring tutorial for pale people regarding the products that don't look like you've smeared a poo down your face, regarding techniques, all of that kind of stuff. I have been asked quite a lot of times over the years, and I haven't done it because I'm not good at makeup tutorials and I don't really enjoy doing them, but this is hopefully quite a simple thing. However, I will say obviously everyone's face shape is completely different. All I know is that this is what I've been doing with my face pretty much since I was a teenager, really, in the 90s, before people were really contouring. It always just occurred to me, like, why not emphasize all the little hollows in your face? Why not do it? And there's been a few things over the years that I've seen and noticed in terms of the shape of cheekbones and how they look and how shadows look and all of that, and it's been like, and then I've changed things up and it's gotten less and less crap looking as time has gone by. So here comes my completely uncontoured face. I look like a shapeless potato, and it is coming, oh God, save yourself, it is coming. And welcome to my terrifying, shapeless, uncontoured face. And the only thing I can say for this look is, if you ever find yourself doing a 90s makeup look or like 90s grunge or anything, this is basically what you want. Completely matte, no shaping anywhere, just a big blank face with eyes and lips, and preferably much thinner eyebrows than this, because it does flash me back to the 90s, seeing my face just so matte and flat like this. But anyway, contouring. Basically, if you are a pale person and you are trying to contour and you keep finding that everything just looks like dirt on your cheeks, the likelihood is that you are using a contour palette. And if you're pale, the secret is you don't want a contour palette, because they are pretty much always made for more tan people, which means they will be too warm toned of a shade and it will look like you've just taken a shit and smeared it down your cheek. We've all been there, it's happened to all of us, it sucks. So what you want is, generally speaking, going to be an eyeshadow, and what you're trying to do is you are trying to mimic a shadow. So you want colours that are the colours of a shadow, which is quite a cool toned kind of greyish brown. And I tend to use two different colours because shadows have like a penumbra and an umbra. There's like an outer bit and an inner bit, and I feel like it looks the most realistic if you have like a paler outside and then you can just go in deeper with a deeper colour. So this is kind of my, as you can tell because it's pretty much all gone, this has been my go-to contour shade for about 2 years or so. They may have discontinued it by now, I hope not, but I have hopped from shade to shade over the years. There's always going to be something out there that will work. Basically what you're looking for your kind of like outer shadow color is something like this. So sort of like a gray toned taupe, like a sort of grayish brown, this sort of kind of palish color. So it's not too strong and it's cool toned is the main thing. Cool toned grayish brown. And what I use is a flat brush like this. This one is pretty beat up, but it does the job. And like, yeah, this may not work for all different face shapes, particularly if you've got a very round face with like no discernible cheekbones at all, because I do still have this, even at this weight, I do still have like a slight little bit of cheekbone going on there, whereas if you're younger, you're more likely to have an almost completely round face without that, in which case the contouring that I feel like looks absolutely gorgeous on round faced people is where they come down and they do this triangle here. So they're coming over their cheekbone, but they're just doing this little triangle here with a bit of blush in it too. That looks gorgeous on round faced people, I feel like, whereas my face being even at this way, it's kind of round, but it's still quite long. So in contouring the way I do, I'm kind of splitting it in half, which seems to kind of shorten my face a little bit. And I'm going to do my jawline and my nose and all the rest of the bits that I do, because why not? So yeah, so getting started, I start by pulling a silly face so I can see where my cheekbone is, and just kind of going in underneath the bone. You can kind of feel where the bone is and you're just kind of going underneath it. And then this is the trick that really started selling my contour and making it actually work. I learned this by being in Blockbuster videos. It was that long ago. I was in Blockbuster Video. The Dragon Tattoo movie with Rooney Mara had just come out, and the poster was her standing side on. And her cheekbone was this aha moment for me, because I realized that I was just contouring straight like this, and a cheekbone, it's not straight. So what you want to do when you've got this kind of line where your cheekbone is, you want to curve it up, because your cheekbone kind of, it curves round. Like from the side, a cheekbone curves round. So you curve it up a bit. And then I also, once I've curved up, I will come down in this kind of angle a little bit, trying to keep the majority of the darkness at the back. So this is like paler at the front here, but just a little bit there. And I know I will get shat on for dragging this downwards, but I think if you have a long face, I feel like it kind of just uses up some space and doesn't look so bad. And then I blend it in all directions. I do blend it upwards. I know you're supposed to blend it upwards. You don't need to tell me. So I blend upwards some of it, but I just blend it in all directions, really. And the same on the other side. And then if that looks a little bit light, you can slap a little bit more on there. Once you've kind of blended it out, if it looks a little bit pale, just slap a bit on there. So that's kind of the first layer, which until you've contoured the rest just looks kind of whack, in my opinion. Jawline contouring, again, this is probably just like noses. This hugely depends on your face shape. My jawline contouring changes enormously depending what I weigh. When I'm skinnier, my face is very long, and I just contoured these little bits of my chin just to try and give myself more of a kind of sharp jawline like that. Whereas at the moment, because I'm quite chubby by my standards, I take the jawline contour and I go all the way up my jawline just to try and get rid of as much of it as possible. And I will also take it up the sides of my face a little bit just to try and get rid of some of this width, because I am not liking it. So just slimming it a little bit and taking off some of the length. And then when you've done that, everything looks a little bit better. The next trick that I've been doing this since I was in my teens. My makeup was horrendous. It was done with a foam pad. There was no blending. It was awful. But I've always put a smudge of grey eyeshadow under my cheekbones and in here. And I saw a model on, I think, TikTok talking about this the other day too. That if you kind of highlight your little indents here, it just kind of snatches everything a little bit more. It just, you know, it's going to kind of elongate your eye shape and it's going to snatch everything back. And I was like, I knew there was a reason I'd been doing this for half my life. But again, depends on your face shape. If you're very skinny, you probably have deep indents here already. And if you emphasize them even more, it may look a little bit sickly and not great. And then my forehead, I take some of that off too, because I have quite a high forehead. If you have a little forehead, do not do this, because some people do have small foreheads already. But I feel like I've heard that hairline, this is so off topic, but I've heard that hairline moving surgery is actually becoming a thing for girls now. Like, people are literally getting surgery to shrink their foreheads, which, oh my god, like how many insecurities does the world want us to have at this point? It's mental. So yeah, so, and then my noses are a whole ass thing. Because obviously there are so many different shapes of nose that I don't know if this video is still out there, but Wayne Goss had the most brilliant video on nose contouring for every nose shape. And I learned that I was doing it completely wrong, and I learned how to do it right, because I'd been trying to do what everyone does, going down the sides, without realizing, dude, like, my nose is non-existent. I don't have a ridge, because I wear glasses all the time. I have these dents here that have like pinched my nose in. So I leave my main nose, secondary nose, what? I leave my main nose alone, and I just take a little flat brush and just contour the tip. So I'm just kind of like taking off the width of the nostrils so that it all kind of looks the same length, width, the same the whole way down. And then I take off a little bit of length as well. And because I'm a sucker for this. I do the little crisscross thing as well, just there. And the thing to note at this point is that contouring, in my view, contouring always looks whack and doesn't look realistic until you've highlighted. And when you highlight, you ideally want more than one shade of highlight as well. So for what I've got on now, if I had very minimal eye and lip makeup on, I would probably leave it at this and it would look quite contoured and quite popping. But I find the more kind of contrasty and strong your eye and lip color is, the less your contour shows, and therefore the deeper you can and maybe should go in. Because this is like a full face of makeup, I'm going to go in with the deeper shade that I use. So this, literally any kind of medium-ish grey matte eyeshadow is what you want. And I use the same brush, and you just dip it in, tap it off a little bit so that it doesn't come on too strong in case you've got something really pigmented and you just fuck up your makeup right at the end stages. And then I just kind of go into largely at the back, kind of a bit further back, and I'm just going into the center of this shadow and doing much the same sort of thing, but trying to keep the weight of the powder at the back. And you do tend to have to use your fingers quite a lot for this because it, you know, the oiliness of your fingers takes off the powder a bit better than smudging it with a brush. So if you've gone too heavy, use your fingers and just drag some of that powder back off again. And, you know, depending how gothy you want to go, you know, if you're going for something really sort of death rocky or trad gothy, then it's not going to matter if you can literally see that you've got a grey contour going on. So it's personal preference as to how much you blend this and how much you leave it visible. As I say, when you've got the highlight on, this will look more realistic anyway. So if it looks a little bit dark before you highlight, it's not going to be the end of the world. So don't judge it too critically until you've highlighted and you can really see the full thing. I'm also going to use this grey under my jawline a little bit, but you want to keep this largely under your jawline, not coming up too high, because you will look like you've got a weird beard and it's not so great. And I'm also going to put a bit of this up here because I can't really see where I've contoured. So that is basically it for the contouring. So onto the highlighting, which is the fun bit. This highlighter, can you see the rainbow from here? Yes, I know I'm showing my age, but I am still stuck on rainbow highlighters, and so should you be. If you're quite young, you probably missed this whole thing. But between 2014 and 2016-ish, when people were doing just the full beat everywhere, rainbow highlighters became such a big thing, and it was so hard to find a good one because everyone was jumping in on the trend. There were all these little Etsy shops that had no business making rainbow highlighters. They had no idea what they were doing. I bought about 5 shit ones, and then I found this. And I don't know if you can see how gorgeous this is from there, but there's this rainbow of pigments in there. This is the Diviner Cosmetics Suspiria highlighter. I have literally been using this since about 2014. They sell out regularly, but I always make sure I keep myself stocked up. They do it in a variety of pan sizes. You can get one about this big. I actually quite like the little ones because it means you can sweep your finger across and you can get all the shades in one sweep, which is kind of the whole point. And I feel like, as I say, like if you don't necessarily have to have a rainbow highlighter for this. It just helps if you've got 2 shades of highlight. So if you've got, say, one with like a gold or pink tone shimmer and one with like a blue or green tone shimmer, so you've got like a warm tone and a cool tone, that's basically what you want, because I feel like it just creates an extra 3D cheekbone. If the shimmer on it kind of changes color and then falls into shadow, I'll show you, it looks really 3D. So I like to start with the cool tones at the top. So I've got like the purpley tones at the top, the gold tones at the bottom, don't know if you can see. And then I just take my finger, sweep it across the colors, and I kind of swoop it across my cheekbone like so. Can you see the rainbow there? It's really addictive. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I carry that kind of back to here and up here a little bit, and then you really do need to blend it quite well because it does look horrendous if you don't. And on the other side, I haven't quite finished with this because I am like a complete highlighter addict. There is more to come, but this is the base layer, because you just want one base layer that's kind of blended out before you really go in heavy with it, because I feel like nothing looks worse than like a chunk of highlight where you can see where it's shimmering, where it ends, and where there's matte skin, and so blend, blend, blend. And then once I've blended it, I will swoop it again and then just do like a little sweep across that kind of angle. So there's kind of like a little angled shimmer across my cheekbone, which I really quite like. I learned this from somebody on Instagram who I was convinced they were editing their photos. Honestly, I think they may still be editing their photos, but they would always have this really cute like line of highlight here that just looked gorgeous. And apparently you actually can do it and it can be real, so maybe they're not editing their photos, I don't know. And then yes, obviously the Rudolph highlight, which came out in about 2014, and it has us in a chokehold to this day. Everyone does it. It's the one part of 2014 to 2016 makeup that just doesn't seem to have gone away. I also go a little bit higher up. If you're doing the kind of shadow here thing with your contour, obviously when you highlight, you need to miss that bit. Don't just go swoop up your nose, otherwise the whole shadow you've put in there is going to be covered up by glow and you're not going to have the little pixie nose thing you're trying to go for. And then I also highlight up a little bit here. Tip for anyone who, like me, has a bony bump in the middle of their nose, obviously do not highlight that. Don't just swoop down your nose with the highlight, miss it out. You know, you can see that there's a gap in the highlight. That can look a little bit weird, but it looks considerably less weird than when I highlight my bumpy nose bone that's just jutting out of the middle of my nose like a weird dinosaur. I don't like to highlight that. And I chin too. I feel like this kind of triangulifies your face a little bit. If you've got kind of wide highlights here and then you're just bringing your chin forward a little bit, kind of narrows everything a little bit. Little bit there. I hate it when it goes on my lipstick though. I hate that. Little bit under my eyebrows. And then I also put a little bit in the middle of my forehead. Obviously, if you have quite oily skin and you glow here naturally, you might want to skip that, but I have really quite dry skin. And to my mind, there are a few things that look worse in goth makeup than when you've got pale foundation that looks chalky. Like, particularly if your skin is aging, chalky, like wrinkled makeup looks so bad. I learned this when I got my camcorder in about 2014 or something. It's broken. I'm back on my phone now, but when I got my camcorder, I saw my makeup in high def and it looks so chalky and so crinkled and so awful. And I think that was when I became a complete highlighter addict. But anyway, returning to the point, you can see that the shadow that you've kind of drawn with your contour, it kind of just looks a lot more realistic. Now you've got a highlight on there too, because you've got like it popping here, falls into shadow here. It just looks a lot more realistic. You can, you know, obviously once you see it there, you can go in heavier with the contour if you want to. And that is basically what I do. So tell me if this works for you. If you have a totally different kind of gothy pale person contour routine, please, I don't know, drop it somewhere, link it below, I don't know, because it would be interesting to see how other people do things. As I say, the contour that people with rounder, shorter faces do, where they do this triangle here and they just kind of chop off this little triangle, I think that looks so fucking cute on round-faced people. It does make me want to be some sort of like morpher, some sort of little human morpher, so I can try this out. It sucks that we can't try out like all the different things that you see other people doing with like different skin tones and different face shapes and all of this stuff, and there's so much stuff that's so like alien that you can't try on yourself. But anyway, ramble. I hope this works for you. I'm going to shut up and go away. But I have actually also been asked for a skincare routine. I did film it the other day. I've already changed up what I'm doing with my skincare routine, so I've got to add things onto it, but that will be coming quite soon if you are in any way interested. And with all of that said, I wish you good luck on your face scribbling adventures, and I will see you soon. Over and out. Bye-bye.